Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, but above all else to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. And in today's episode, I'm going to be doubling down on some of the content that I've been putting out recently. Specifically, I did a whole episode talking about the day plan and how to utilize a day plan to keep you focused. Unashamedly, I am going to be repeating myself here. Not everything, just some of the things in there. But what I wanted to do was really just to reiterate how important it is right now during this time when many people don't have a lot of time. They've got a lot of other pressures, a lot of other focuses, a lot of other distractions right now. How important it is to make sure that you stick to your goals, stick to your priorities, and stick to your agenda. The more reactive we are, then the more our own agenda suffers, the more our own goals suffer, the more we are reacting to external distractions or other people, the less focused we are on the stuff that we need to be. Once again, this content comes straight out of the content that I am making available for my success groups, my Success Group Plus masterminds, and my Extreme Growth masterminds. Obviously, our attention as a business right now has got to be on our clients, on our members, on our ambitious business owners who many have never had it so tough. So obviously, I'm putting out the content that I need to for my members first and foremost. However, some of this stuff I know is super important to businesses in the wider community out there. So for you guys that are subscribed to my podcast, or even if this is the first time you've come across my podcast, I want to make some of this stuff also available to you to help you navigate this current crisis, if you want to call it that, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, whatever it is that we are going through, the madness, the crazy, the lockdown, the isolation, the devastating impact to our economy, whatever you want to call it. I want to help you navigate through this. Do the best you can right now during this time. Capitalize on whatever opportunity is available in all the right ways. I don't mean capitalize on it in a negative sense. Just maximize the opportunities that you make available to yourself right now. And of course, it's got to be about getting ready to absolutely smash it once we go back to normal, relative normal, or whatever the new normal is going to be on the other side of this. So I hope you enjoyed this content. I'll talk to you on the other side. Hello and welcome. A quick message to all you business owners out there that are scratching your head in bewilderment at this kind of constant messaging out there on social media about having all this time suddenly on your hands. And I know that many of you are kind of thinking, what time is this? Some of you, many of you, you've never been any busier, whether it's because you're trying to juggle your home life and your kids, and you're trying to juggle your business and maybe some other factors as well, that actually you're sitting there kind of scratching your head thinking, I don't have an awful lot of time. We see a lot of posts out there, why you've got all this time in your hands, why not learn to play the guitar? Why you've got all this time in your hands, play the piano? Why you've got all this time in your hands, do this thing, do that thing, learn a new language, whatever it might be, right? And I know that many people are sitting there thinking, I don't know who these people are that seem to have all this time. Well, obviously some people do have a lot of time. I guess if you're furloughed, you've got a little bit of time, let's be honest. Some business owners, I guess, are pulling back a little bit from activity. But actually, I just want to put out there that the chances are you haven't got a lot of time. And if you have got a lot of time, you've got to ask yourself the question, I guess, what is it you're not actually doing? Because when I look at the business owners who are really busy at the moment and they don't have all that time on their hands, it's because what they're doing is they're actually in very close connection to their clients. And also they are still communicating out there to potential prospects. They're still out there helping the wider community and offering their services. I don't mean necessarily for free, but just in terms of putting out some content, some help, some advice, those sorts of things. And I kind of think, if you're not busy right now, the chances are you're missing a big piece of the puzzle moving forward here, which is you probably need to be busy because I honestly believe that companies that aren't currently really tightly in communication and conversations with their current clients, I think there's a real risk they're going to lose their clients at the other side of this. We were talking yesterday about accountants, and some people, in fact, many business owners have had no contact with their accountant during the whole of this Corona episode. And, this has been a really scary time financially for most businesses and most small businesses, and just lots of uncertainty, even if it's not scary, because, what am I entitled to? What am I not entitled to? What can I claim? What can't I claim? What am I eligible for? Should I go? Shouldn't I go? What should my strategy be? And let's be honest, your accountant should be the person that you go to. In fact, in these sort of situations, your accountant is the person that should come to you and offer you that information, offer you that advice. If at the very least, just check in and say, are you okay? Are you doing all right? Is there any way I can help? And we've had many people saying that their accountants just haven't contacted them. Now, I know this isn't just accountancy, by the way. I know that there are many people out there who haven't had contact from their suppliers or from the people that serve them. And whilst now, in the middle of this situation, might not be the best time to switch accountants or change suppliers, people are definitely watching and they're observing and they're learning, and they really are getting an idea of what these people's values really are, and also, more importantly, how much their heart might actually be in it in terms of helping them as a customer. And I think that's a real travesty, because I'm sure these companies aren't sitting there just washing their hands of their clients. I'm sure they're busy doing other things. My guess is, though, they're not doing the right things, because the first people you should be serving right now and communicating with right now is your current customer base, because the relationship that you will build through this time of crisis is the one that's going to create those incredible bonds and loyalty moving forward. Does this make sense? If you don't build those bonds right now, you're missing a massive opportunity, number one. But number two, what you're also doing is actually you are running the real risk of losing that client to someone else down the line who maybe is out there on social media serving and helping. Many of my members, I'm seeing them as guest interviewees on podcasts, on webinars, etc. They're running their own webinars completely free of charge. They're not selling on these things at all. They're just out there serving the community. And I'm telling you now, if you're an accountant and you're not talking to your clients about, their current situation, their current finances, and just supporting them through this current process, I'm telling you now, I've got members who are out there right now talking to your customers, who are right now solving your current clients' problems and issues for you. And I tell you now, they are building the relationship and the bond right now that you are losing. So my message out to all small business owners, if you're sitting there scratching your head thinking, I've got all this time on my hands, what is it you're not actually doing? Who could you call again? If you've got 20, 30 clients, you don't just call them once, once 1 week into this thing and leave them to the end and say, contact me if you need my help. You literally want to stay constantly in touch with them. If there's an update to the situation, the law, or you just had a thought on their behalf, drop them a line, give them a call. So I was just thinking about you. I saw this thing, or I just had this conversation with somebody else, and I thought I'd just drop you a line and say, it might be useful for you. It might be on the phone. Trust me, better bonds on the phone or through video, but even just through email or drop them a text, just let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know that you are there for them. Be there for them. And I tell you now, that takes a fair degree of time through a crisis time like this, because we have to up our level of support by the very nature that our clients are probably needing a great deal more support right now. Does this make sense? So number one, if you are sitting there scratching your head with nothing to do, you probably do have plenty you should be doing, you're just not doing it, whether that's with your own customers first and foremost, or second, getting out there and serving a wider community and building those bonds for when we get to the other side of this thing. And for you guys that are sitting there scratching your head looking and thinking, who the hell are these people that have got all their time on their hands? It's probably because you are doing the right things. Does this make sense? You probably are being busy, mostly doing the right things. But what I wanted to do is give you a couple of little hints and tips here to help maybe streamline, to make sure that you are definitely doing the key things and the core things that are going to move your business forward. I know I'm going to repeat some of the stuff I've put out quite recently, but I think it deserves to be said again. And that is, at the very least, even if you only had like half an hour a day or 1 hour a day, you want to make sure and say, right, what are my key objectives? What am I pushing forward? What's my agenda? What am I working on? What do I need to make happen? Who do I need to contact? Who am I waiting to contact me that's going to move my projects forward, move my priorities forward? So I want you to think, At the very, very least, what you want to be doing right now is you want to, before you turn on your email, before you turn your phone on or start answering your phone or going to your text messages or your social media or wherever it is that people contact you, whatever medium they contact you through, before you get stuck into that, almost like just have, at the very least, just have a one sheet of paper. I have this 1 day plan that I talk people through just really recently. I'll drop the link below. It's the day plan, and it's literally 1 day at a time, right? And you just fill the sheet out the night before, you update it the night before, and you work your way through the sheet. It just keeps you really focused, and that was something I put out really recently. But for the purpose of this, you can go and download that sheet and work your way through it, or you can go and listen to that episode and we'll listen to that content. But actually, it's in its most simplest form, if you did nothing else, then have a sheet of paper or a phone or wherever you work from. But you imagine having that sheet of paper, and you want to make sure that you are really aware of what your number 1, 2, or 3 main priorities are right now. You then want to think, right, who am I waiting to hear from who is going to move those priorities forward? Now, that priorities could be to maintain your current clients, right? To support your current clients. The second priority out there might be to get your finances in order. The third priority might be to, put some communications out there to the world, the wider world. But once you've got your priorities in place, and there might be different ones, but you can have personal priorities as well, your home life priorities. But once you know what your top 1, 2, or 3 priorities are, then you know who you're waiting to hear back from, who you've contacted in the past about this, that are maybe holding it up. Does this make sense? So you've got that list of people you're waiting to hear from. Then you have a little list. It's only a little list, right? So it's every day, only a short list of people you need to reach out and contact that are going to help you move that forward, okay? And then you'll have literally a to-do list, and this to-do list is like 1, 2, or 3. Now, I'm not a fan of to-do lists. To-do lists for me are like a bucket that you chuck everything in. Somewhere to store all those things you need to do to get them outside your head. But actually, what I like is the idea of a today list, right? And a today list is taking the 1, 2, or 3 things that you must do today, you have to do today, that are your top priorities today, that move your overall objectives forward. So on this sheet of paper, it's not a lot of work. You might have 3, 4, 5 names that you're waiting to hear back from. You might have 3, 4, 5 names you need to get in touch with. And you might have 1, 2, 3, or 4 tasks to do. It might only be half an hour. It might only be an hour's worth of work. And your job is really simple, is to prioritize that stuff over everything else. And then once you get that stuff done, then you can open up your diary, open up your calendar, open up your time to other things. This makes sense? Things that may be lower priorities, or even maybe aren't a priority for you, but they are a priority for other people. So if you did nothing else but every single day, right, if you're wondering where all this time is, if you're working harder than ever, if you're getting really stretched, you're spending a lot of time supporting your current clients, spending a lot of time supporting people outside in the wider community, I applaud you for all of that. I think it's really good stuff. I think it's a great strategy. I think it's a nice thing to do as well. But you don't want to lose sight on what's important to you, even though those other things are important to you, but you don't want to lose sight on your core goals, core objectives, what it is you're trying to put in place, what it is you're trying to create right now. So that 1 sheet of paper, what you do is you literally, when you open up your email, you go in there and you're looking just for those names. Someone said today, in our Extreme Growth Mastermind session, there's various apps and tools out there to help organize your inbox, and it's worth looking into those if you have a crazy inbox. But somebody else said it could be as simple as, just ordering your inbox rather than having it, in terms of chronological order. You do it in alphabetic, right? So, you can easily go and seek out the emails from these 3, 4, 5 people that I'm talking about. Either way, whatever you do, even if you just scan your email box chronologically, what you're doing is every day you're just looking for who's come back to you overnight that you were waiting to hear from on that list, right? And there might be 4 or 5 names on there, like I've said. And if 3 of them got back to you, you then tackle those 3, have the phone calls, reach out back to them, whatever you need to do that moves it forward. You take action on those things. There's 2 more names on there, say, that didn't contact you. So one of them you might think, well, I only contacted him yesterday, so I'll give it another day or 2 before I chase them up. One of these names may have been on this list for 2, 3, 4 days, maybe a week, and it's time now to chase them up. So that name goes into the other column, who do I need to reach out to? Who do I need to connect with to move things forward? You put that name over on that list, and now you've got 3, 4, 5 names, maybe an extra 6th name of people you need to reach out to. So then you go to those lists, and then you work through that list, whether it's phone calls, emails, whatever it is, through social media, however you communicate with these people. You then reach out to all those people. Guess what? Now, those people move over to the other list for tomorrow or for later that day. So let's say you had 3, 4, 5 names. You take those 3, 4, 5 names. Once you've reached out to them, left them a message, sent them an email. You then move those names over to the waiting on column. So now you're just waiting for this. So there might be the one name that we already said before that you're waiting on. You've now got the 5 names that we already had, plus the one extra. And now we have makes sense. And now you've got a list of maybe 6 or 7 names that you're waiting to hear from. Some of those will get back to you very quickly. As they get back to you, you can then deal with those issues. Now, I do recommend, rather than just constantly having your email inbox open and reacting to it like this, what I do recommend, especially if you're time poor at the moment, or you've just got a lot on your plate and therefore you don't have a lot of extra spare time, you have set times you go back to your email. So maybe you do it first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, whenever, before you start work proper. Then you might come in and check again over lunchtime, and maybe you'll check one more time at the end of the day. Maybe you only check your email twice a day. I know some people that only check their email once a day, but keep going in every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes is not ideal. So you just keep moving these little columns around, but what it does, it keeps you on top of the handful of people that you're waiting on and you need to contact, so that you make sure with this, that you're doing what you need to do to move your priorities forward, right? Move your agenda forward. And then what you've got is just a very tight, narrow focus. Then you've got your to-do list. So once you've done that, reaching out to people, so you've replied to people, reached out to people, just the ones on this list, then you do your top 1, 2, or 3 things, right? Before anything else, 1, 2, or 3 things. Then once you've done that, you go back and you do whatever else it is that you then need to do. Make sense? So you can go back through the rest of your email if you want. You can go and do your social media. You can do all the other things you need to do. But what you do is, before you move on to anything else, do these, like literally these 3 little things, right? Who am I waiting from? Who's come in? React to that. Do what I need to do with that to move it forward. Who do I need to reach out to? Reach out to them. Carry the list back over to, now I'm waiting on them, on their reply. So they move on to the other list. So that reaching out list is clear and empty. I move on to my 1, 2, or 3 tasks. Then I get on with the rest of my day. If you did that and nothing else but that, it might only be half an hour. It might be maybe an hour's worth of work. That's 1 hour every single day that you're doing the stuff that's absolutely mission critical to moving your priorities forward, moving your goals and objectives forward, for keeping you on track with your agenda. So the less time you have, the more you need to plan. The less time you have, the more that planning is about what you're not going to do than what you are going to do. There's always way more you could do than you actually can do. Your job is to get those priorities in place, get really clear on those objectives, and then it's getting super clear on the 1, 2, 3 things that need to happen today to move that forward. And then I can go into being reactive to the rest of the world. There's a reason, actually, they did a study on this, and I think it was like 90+%, it might even be as high as like 96% or 97% of top level CEOs do a big chunk of work before they get into the office. I think it was like 3 hours on average before they get into the office. So a lot of CEOs, apparently 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock seems to be kind of the average, but they work 3 hours at home away from everything else before they even go into that office. The reason being, the moment they get into the office, the moment they go online with everybody else in the company, they automatically become reactive to everything else. Everyone wants a piece of them. Everyone wants to speak to them. Everyone needs their attention. So then they become reactive. So by doing that 3 hours of work first thing in the morning, they ring fence their time and their focus to make sure that they're doing the stuff that they know that they need to do before they become inevitably reactive to the world around them. We can learn a lot from that as well. I'm not saying you need to do 3 hours of this. Obviously, the more you can do of this, the more potent and powerful you're going to be in moving these things forward. But right now, if you're strapped for time, then it's really important that you earmark some of this time. And I'm trying to say to you now, it might only be the first hour of the day. It might be, literally, it might be the 8 till 9 o'clock before you kind of open your doors, metaphorically, not literally, of course. It might be, if you start work at 9, it might be the 9 to 10. But before you look at all the other distractions, before you look at all of the other emails or text messages or social media, get these 3 things done. Just to repeat that one more time, the 3 things. Who am I waiting on? Okay, so I've sent them messages. They're going to get back to me. They haven't got back to me yet. I'm waiting on them. Who are they? Right? Who is it I need to reach out to? What are the top 1, 2, or 3 things to do today? You then go and check for those people that you're waiting on? Have they got in contact with you? You know how they get in contact with you. Check those mediums. If it's phone calls, you check your messages. If it's text, check your phone. If it's email, check your email. If it's through social media, check your social medias, right? But you literally put the blinkers on and you ignore everything. Even the stuff that says urgent, urgent, urgent. That stuff that you find so hard not to get pulled into. And before you know it, you're an hour and a half down the line, 2 hours down the line, and you haven't even moved one thing of yours forward yet because you're absorbed in everyone else's stuff. So you literally have to go like blind on this. If you want to reprioritize your inbox, awesome. If you want to put an app in there to help you, get all the crap out of the way, awesome. If you just type in the search box the names you're looking for, whatever, or just literally scroll through today's stuff, and you're blind to everything else. No matter what it says, you're blind to it, and then you pull out those things. The ones that haven't got, you make a decision. Are you still waiting on them? You leave them in that column, or is it time that you chase them up? You move into the other column. Then you reach out to all of that list. Okay, move those names back over to waiting on, because that's what you're doing now. They're now you're waiting on, and then you go into 1, 2, or 3 things. You get it? If you did that every single day, it would. This is best practice at the best of times. It's especially powerful if you are time poor right now. If you're wondering who these people are, they've got time to learn the piano or learn a new language or a new skill, then this is twice as important for you. Make sure you get your stuff done first, get your priorities done first, move your priorities, your projects, your goals, your agendas forward first, and then you can go into that reactive space. I thought I'd just put it out there. I am reiterating some of the stuff that I've already said. If you are interested in the whole sheet again, I'll add the sheet to this again, okay? And it's just a day sheet. Okay, it goes into a little bit more detail in what I'm saying here, but fundamentally it's the principle. But if you did nothing else, just having a sheet of paper or opening up something in your calendar or a phone app, whatever it is, and just having these things in there, get all the noise out of this. I'm talking about one sheet of paper. You want to get everything else out of the way so you can be super uber focused on the things you need to do today, this hour that's going to move everything forward. Important all the time. Doubly important probably right now, especially if you're strapped for time. Okay, hope that was useful. I will see you very soon. Until then, as always, be successful. Okay, so thanks for listening. As always, I do not take it lightly that you have just spent the last 22 and a quarter minutes with me. I appreciate you giving me your time and attention. I know there's a lot of things out there demanding it right now, so I do not take it lightly. And therefore, wherever possible, I do like to give you some extra value. I mentioned the one sheet day plan, and I will put a link so you can go and download yourself a copy of that. If you want further instruction how to maximize the use of that sheet, then you can always refer back to episode 120, where I literally take you through the whole sheet and how to use that sheet on a day-by-day basis. It's a very powerful tool for keeping you super focused. I'll put the link to the sheet in the descriptions of this episode, but also just go back and check out episode number 120, because that will show you how to get the most out of that day plan. Also, don't forget the 6-figure fast track webinar is still available to you. I mention this pretty much every episode. I get it right now. Big extreme growth might not be on the forefront of your mind. You might be thinking about survival. You might be licking some wounds right now. I get it. However, the content that's in the 6-figure fast track is relevant at all times, okay? So even if you're not looking right now to go for maximum growth or fast growth, the truth of the matter is you still need to make sure that you have a really robust business model in place that delivers what you need it to deliver. You also need to make sure that you've got the right mindset in place, and also you need to make sure that what you're focused on day by day is the right stuff. So you need to make sure you've got the right methodologies in place. It's about doing the right things, but even more importantly, it's about making sure you're not doing the wrong things. It's about what you are going to do, but it's more importantly about what you're not going to do, the stuff that's going to hold you back right now. So tons of value in that right now, even if you're not thinking extreme growth. If, however, you still want to go out there and you want to give it every possible chance you can to grow your business right now, then the rules of the 6-figure fast track are absolutely applicable. I tell you now, they've never been more applicable. Go and check that out. You'll find it at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. Again, I'll also drop the link in the descriptions of this episode. Go and check out the 6-figure fast track if you haven't done so yet. I will see you next time. Until then, as always, be successful, but also stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in the game.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.